So, this thing about like when we start really awakening to our higher consciousness and we start remembering who we truly are, and that our old self is changing, it's peeling away, and we're unfolding these beautiful ways that we are becoming, and also that painful old self starts dying. So the ego tries to grasp it and wants it to stay the same. It wants it to be the same. And the ego, it's hard. The ego is edging God out, like Deepak Chopra says it. It's edging God out. So the ego wants to stay the same. So when it starts changing and becoming different, when you start awakening to your true self, then the ego is hurt and is trying to keep what it can. And it's just a matter of fact that you realize that as you awaken to the truth of your being, as you awaken to the potential that you have, as you awaken to the higher consciousness of your being, as you awaken to this beautiful truth, you will never be the same. And we try to be the same. We try to stay in that lower consciousness, or we try to hang out with the friends that we always hang out with. We try to be like our friends, or we try to stay in that old life. We try to have our spiritual life and also be the same. But I'm here to tell you that you're never going to be the same. So you have to stop trying. This message is really for light workers, us that we're doing this healing work, and society is going to want us to stay the same. Society is going to keep us trying to be the same, the drinking, the partying, but I'm really here to tell you that you will never be the same. When you awaken to the truth of your being, there's something that awakens in you, and some call it the Kundalini, some call it the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. It starts washing you. It starts really becoming this beautiful essence, and you're unfolding into a beautiful essence. So you can no longer be the same because this energy is being awoken in you. So the more you fight it, the more it's going to fight against you. The more you try to be like your old self, the more you try to stay as the old self, the ego wants that. The more you try to be like the old self, you're fighting against this law, you're fighting against something that's being awakened with you, and the process is going to be very painful, and you're going to go through a lot of hard situations, because your higher self is going to want to change, and it's going to go through the process, and it's going to actually make you, because once this energy is awoken, it's like there's no stopping it. It's gonna do what it needs to do to awaken you. So trying to be like your old self, trying to hang out with the same people, and something that is so important, that when you're doing these changes, that you be very compassionate with yourself. So there is going to be you, the ego, and that part of you is going to want to stay the same, but you have to do what it needs to do for you to know that you will never be like that. You will never be that old person that you were. You will never be that partying person. You will never be that old you. That is never going to happen again. So accepting who you are, accepting the truth of your being, accepting that you are divine, and that you have this beautiful spirit about you that's going to cleanse you, that's going to work through you, and accepting that, because one thing is so hard to accept our divinity. It's so hard to accept that God made us in the image of itself. It's so hard to accept that that we hold this power within us. It's hard sometimes because our little self, our ego, cannot think that we are that big, cannot think that we have so much power. So it's coming back to that essence, coming back to remembrance, coming back to knowing the truth about your being. So surrender to this new changes. Surrender to you, who you are now. Surrender to who you're becoming. Accept the changes. See them as miracles. See them as something unfolding beautifully. And if I had this, if someone would have told me this as I was going through my process, I would have stopped a lot of heartache, because I went through so many mistakes trying to stay like the old self. I made so many mistakes trying to be the old Cindy, and becoming Nam Shakti. I was trying to do both. I was trying to stay in between, saying, you know, I can be from this earth and also be spiritual. But everything is spiritual. Everything's unfolding beautiful, exactly how it needs to unfold. And when you accept and you surrender, knowing that you will never be the same and that you can just not go back to your old life, because this new life is going to unfold no matter what, and that you're going to be cleansed no matter what, you stop the suffering, you stop the fighting, because that's what we do. We want to fight it. You know, we're humans, we don't like changes, especially me. I'm a Taurus, I don't like changes. So the changing is what's hard, but the surrendering, the knowing I will never be the same. God is working through me. God is cleansing me. God is cleansing my mind, my heart, my spirit, and I am whole, I am complete, I am divine. When you remember that, you can surrender to that truth. So I really just invite you to surrender to the new changes. The new changes are coming as you are unfolding. And again, this message is for the light worker that's going through those hard times, trying to stay the same, trying to be in that old place, trying to, party with the friends and do their spiritual work, or it's trying to balance both. Just let the old self die. Let it die. You will never be the same. Let it just completely die and accept yourself for who you are, which is divine, which is the lightness and the beautifulness of our Creator. I love you. I bless you. Have a beautiful Saturday. Sat Nam.